Have you not forgot to wind up the clock?" "Good God!" cried my father, making an exclamation, but taking care to moderate his voice at the same time. "Did ever a woman since the creation of the world interrupt a man with such a silly question? Pray, what was your father saying?" Nothing. Chapter 2. Then, positively, there is nothing in the question that I can see, either good or bad. Then let me tell you, sir, it was a very unseasonable question, at least, because it scattered and dispersed the animal spirits, whose business it was to have escorted and gone hand in hand with the homunculus, and conducted him safe to the place destined for his reception. The homunculus, sir, in however low and ludicrous a light he may appear in this age of levity to the eye of folly or prejudice, to the eye of reason in scientific research, he stands confessed, a being guarded and circumscribed with rights. The minutest philosophers, who, by the by, have the most enlarged understandings, their souls being inversely as their inquiries, show us incontestably that the homunculus is created by the same hand, engendered in the same course of nature, endowed with the same locomotive powers and faculties with us. That he consists, as we do, of skin, hair, fat, flesh, veins, arteries, ligaments, nerves, cartilages, bones, marrow, brains, glands, genitals, humours, and articulations, is a being of as much activity, and in all senses of the word as much and truly our fellow creature as my Lord Chancellor of England. He may be benefited, he may be injured, he may obtain redress. In a word, he has all the claims and rights of humanity, which Tully, Puffendorf, or the best ethic writers allow to arise out of that state and relation. Now, dear sir, what if any accident had befallen him in his way alone, or that through terror of it, natural to so young a traveller, my little gentleman had got to his journey's end miserably spent, his muscular strength and virility worn down to a thread, his own animal spirits ruffled beyond description, and that in this sad, disordered state of nerves he had laid down to a prey to sudden starts, or a series of melancholy dreams and fancies for 9 long, long months together, I trembled to think what a foundation had been laid for 1,000 weaknesses both of body and mind, which no skill of the physician or the philosopher could ever afterwards have set thoroughly to rights. Chapter 3. To my uncle, Mr. Toby Shandy, do I stand indebted for the preceding anecdote, to whom my father, who was an excellent natural philosopher and much given to close reasoning upon the smallest matters, had oft and heavily complained of the injury. But once more particularly, as my Uncle Toby well remembered, upon his observing a most unaccountable obliquity, as he called it, in my manner of setting up my top, and justifying the principles on which I had done it. The old gentleman shook his head, and in a tone more expressive by half of sorrow than reproach, he said his heart all along foreboded, and he saw it verified in this, and from 1,000 other observations he had made upon me, that I should neither think nor act like any other man's child. But alas, continued he, shaking his head a second time and wiping away a tear which was trickling down his cheeks, my Tristram's misfortunes began 9 months before ever he came into the world. My mother, who was sitting by, looked up, but she knew no more than her backside what my father meant. But my uncle, Mr. Toby Shandy, who had been often informed of the affair, understood him very well. Chapter 4. I know there are readers in the world, as well as many other good people in it, who are no readers.